Good afternoon and welcome to our first year welcoming ceremony presented by Burnett, Duckworth and Palmer. Please welcome our first year students. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, can you please thank the Amati Quartet for their performance? Welcome, students, staff, faculty, cloakers, honored guests, family and friends, and those watching online. We're excited to have you with us today to help formally welcome our first-year students to the College of Law. Before we begin our formal program, I would like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis people. We pay our respect to the First Nation and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship and partnership with one another. Just before I begin, I also want to say that this is making me feel very old. It's by some twist of fate that I started law school 30 years ago this week in England, which really makes me feel very, very old. So it's a wonderful sound. We never had anything like this in England, string quartets and fancy gowns, so this is really quite good. So I'm going to take this as the ceremony that I never had. So I'm delighted to be part of it. The first year welcoming ceremony is intended to be a ritual marking the beginning of a new intellectual journey, one that will be transformative and enriching for students embarking upon their legal studies. Part of the ceremony involves having our first years recite a student commitment. This commitment has been derived from the university's Learning Charter, which was established in 2010 to define aspirations about the learning experience that the University of Saskatchewan aims to provide to all of its students. You will find the student commitment in your program, along with commitments from both the institution and from the faculty. Together, these commitments define the roles each party plays in ensuring every student at the University of Saskatchewan is given an optimal learning experience. And just as this ceremony marks the beginning of an educational and intellectual journey, to me it also represents the beginning of a professional journey. This is your first step into the ranks of your profession. In other words, your professional education and your professional life starts now, and you must start thinking and acting like that. What do I mean by that? Well, in your daily interactions with faculty, staff, and your fellow students, you must act professionally. You must treat them with dignity and respect, and treat them in a way that you would wish to be treated. Your work must be thorough, well-informed, and of the highest standard. I'm a firm believer in the adage that lawyers are public servants, and in the true sense of the word, your professional mission will be to serve the public, serve your clients, and to serve the democracy in which we're privileged to live to the utmost of your ability. You have a key role in the maintenance of that society. The skills you learn here will help you do that, but once you're out in the big bad world, you will also be called upon to use those skills to assist volunteer organizations that you will join, to assist people that cannot afford your services, and to assist those who will enter the profession after you. Just as your work must be of the highest standard, your personal behavior should attempt to be the same. We all have flaws, I get that. I have lots. One of the most important, if not the most important thing you will have as your legal career progresses is your reputation. Do you treat your clients well? Do you treat your staff well? In your interactions with your fellow lawyers, opposing counsel, court staff, etc., are you professional, respectful, and trustworthy? These are the standards that the profession will expect of you. These are the things that will determine whether you are successful or not. These are the standards you should be aspiring to now, during the course of your time here with us in the college. I go back to the notion of lawyer as public servant. One of the privileges of being dean is that I get to sit as a bencher of the Law Society of Saskatchewan, the body that regulates the legal profession in this province. I attended my first meeting last week. I was inspired by the work and commitment of the benches. Foremost in almost all of the discussions I was involved in was the notion of serving the public interest. Law is one of those lucky professions that gets to regulate itself. Self-regulation is a huge privilege to a profession, and in order to guard that privilege, the profession must ensure that all of its members aspire and adhere to the highest standards possible. The public deserves nothing less. What this means is that in such a profession, you're only as strong as your weakest link. The public loves to bash lawyers as a profession, lawyer jokes about greedy lawyers, avarice, arrogance, etc. But as the adage also goes, everyone hates lawyers except their own. People who have interacted with lawyers and worked with lawyers have an overwhelmingly positive view of lawyers and the profession. Therefore, it is both the collective and individual responsibility that all of those entering the profession and those that govern the profession ensure that the highest standards of professional behavior are the norm. I'm a firm believer that law school is an academic discipline. That's why we're part of a university, and that it is the profession's job to train you to be lawyers. We train you to think like lawyers, but we, along with our partners in the profession, must begin the process of getting you to act like lawyers in your daily interactions. So when you receive the gown today, it is indeed the start of a wonderful intellectual journey. But I also ask you to pause for just a moment sometime today and think about the fact that you've taken your first steps into a noble profession, that will rightly expect the highest standards of behavior from you. Just think about that for a moment and realize that you are now under an obligation to protect, maintain, and eventually advance the standing of the profession which you've just entered. Your profession demands that of you. You advance the standing of the profession by how you act, how you work, and how you treat others. That is a significant responsibility. It will be a lifelong commitment, and I encourage you to start developing that side of yourself from now on. There endeth the lesson. I want to emphasize that this is a celebration. And I also want to emphasize the role of all these wonderful guests that we have here today. Parents, partners, grandparents, children, family, friends. The support you have been provided and the support you will continue to provide to these students does not go unnoticed. And we thank you for playing such an important role in the lives of each of them. Let's have a round of applause for them. I'll also say it's going to get a lot worse before it's get better. There's nothing worse than having a law student in the house. So you will begin to fear the dinner table about what they're going to regale you with next. But anyway, thank you for your contributions, and I'll thank you a lot more in 3 years' time. As we go through the ceremony, please follow along in your programs for complete bios of each speaker and gown presenter. Firstly, I would like to welcome Joseph Netauhau, a Plains Woodland Cree singer, songwriter, storyteller, and voice, stage, and film actor from the Sturgeon Lake First Nation Band in Saskatchewan, to bring greetings.
Thank you, Musho Martin, grandfather. When we refer to old people, they're either elders or grandparents. And their life is only beginning into another phase. Tatamskat na, kinanaskom na, nanaskom Maria Campbell. So I thank Maria Campbell for putting me in a stressful situation. But I'm in good company. I'm a storyteller as well. And I think a lot of lawyers have to tell a good story or some pretty tough stories. My dad worked with NADAP for many years and worked with judges and lawyers, Andrew Netauhau in Prince Albert and White Bear all over Saskatchewan. So he stayed close to the law to help our people as well. Whoever needed help, he was there. So this is, thanks for this, the ribbons. And these are used in horse dance, for one thing. Maria, I don't know, she might have her own explanation, but these represents the grandfathers and the grandmothers that we depend on, for guidance when we go and do our ceremonies and prayers. So I'll take them with me to our lodge and say a prayer for all the new students that are here, first years, and the ones before that. We always think about our ancestors. So we have ancestors who were storytellers or lawyers or judges as well. And we have our elders and our medicine people. So do we think about them whenever we do our prayers. It's a given. That's how we live, and that's how we understand our position in this world. Kikawi Noah Ski, Mother Earth. So I'll take that with me. But I have a song to sing with you. And Kehteek, elders, often say before they start, Mamawe kamatotan, Mamawe kamatotan. It's Mamawe means all or the collective, kamatotan, to be one. Mamawe kamatotan, to be of one mind, of one heart, and one spirit. So I'm going to do a song, and it's a song that's from the traditional style, but it's more contemporary because it's more recent, but it's still a song that has a connection to these ancestors because the song came from the ancestors. And it's about protection, feeling protected wherever you go. And wherever you go, you just do whatever you do and walk away and keep on going. So welcome all dignitaries, students, and staff that are working with the Law Center. So these are what we use. Stikwaskik, the wooden pail, or that's what it translates literally. The instrument that's shaped like a pail. So and this is also what we use in our ways of knowing, so sweetgrass. But I won't burn that. I might start off an alarm or something. But I'll use tobacco. I'll use tobacco. And in the spirit of our elders before us, which south is that? No, south is this way, right? Oh, this way, okay. So we put our tobacco like in the center, and to the south, and to the west, to the north, and to the east. So our doorway where we call on our ancestors is to the south. So we often, but today I'll face west because you're all sitting over here. It would not be very nice if I looked away and was kind of impolite. So this is our way of praying and asking for guidance in whatever we do. We use drums, we use rattles, we use song, we use our voice. We use the songs of our grandparents. So if I could get you to join me, I'd like you to be a percussion instrument as well, because everybody has the ability to pray. So this is the beat, it's just basically like that, this. 1, 2, 1, 2. If you have a heart, it'll beat this way too. And when you're under pressure, it goes faster, right? So, but this song will, keep this song in mind. Maybe as we understand it, when something is said or sung or prayed, you'll hear it somewhere down in the future. At some point in the future, it'll come back to help you. So everybody, bring your hand to your heart. Let's pray together. Mamo kamatutan. Oma mohtai mauksi mantugaksi otsin. Naskumt nanutan uskagissagak. Uge. Uska pegon taskut muska pius ogi wawi tsikong matix na masutsik. Utini gaiga kui tsihatsi ku taisini muog. Uakumag naguitsa nuog. Eksome iskagis mutta manu uskagissagak. Egagis pusta moguta uska ega matsihtatsi ku mu yesuiwin. kaitu itsik law, kan kaasimo. Eikö se? Tippää kapsisin keitoan ja yhtäkki joka miupai kun muhti unoa. Oma amtin itse kanaa kapsihtaa kun tihiua. Mutta saa kun muamina. Eikö kun amtin maatsi keitteek pitsen ikään. Siinä on nuutte kuuk. Eikö se on meissä nyt magista magian anuiskaa kissakaan. Hain teitoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph. As the name of this event would suggest, it would not be possible without the support of Burnett, Duckworth and Palmer law firm. BDP has committed $200,000 over 10 years to sponsor this ceremony. Today we have with us Grant Vogelai, QC, Senior Litigation Partner at Burnett, Duckworth and Palmer in Calgary. Grant received his BA from the University of Regina in 1991 and his Bachelor of Laws from the University of Saskatchewan in 1982. Please welcome Grant Vogelai.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the prayer and words from you and your teaching earlier. It's certainly my honor to bring greetings on behalf of my firm, Burnett, Duckworth and Palmer, and I'm very pleased that we support the university and hire students from the university, and it's no wonder because it's a wonderful institution. I'm very proud to be from Saskatchewan and to be an alum of this law school. I've spent the last 10 days in Waskesiu, and it's reminded me that Saskatchewan is indeed a great place. For those of you from Saskatchewan, you will appreciate that more as you interact with others from around the world. For those of you students who are new to Saskatchewan to start law school, you'll quickly come to appreciate why Saskatchewan is indeed a great place. Generally, people from Saskatchewan are honest, straightforward, hardworking, and industrious. Those are values and attributes that lead to success. I'm going to give you two brief pieces of advice this afternoon. First, don't be intimidated or discouraged. Many of you have arrived here and you're thinking that many of your classmates are smarter than you are. You may be fearful that you're not going to succeed. I certainly have a distinct memory of that very fear when I arrived here 37 years ago in 1979. Hard to believe. I was away from home for the first time, and I was a naive and somewhat innocent 19-year-old boy. And I really do feel that same anxiety coming back to me as I sit here today. I only learned much later on that most of my classmates had those same fears and that most of them were not, in fact, smarter than me. In your career and in your life generally, you will often feel unprepared or ill-equipped for a challenge. You will undoubtedly be told by a professor, a senior partner, a judge, or someone significant with significant influence over you that you're not smart enough or that you can't succeed at something. When that happens, and it will, do not accept what they're saying. Persevere. I learned this lesson the hard way. When I was in law school, the oil patch was booming and I wanted to go to Calgary and work for a large firm. One of my professors was a relatively young man who had worked for a major firm in Calgary. I went to speak to him after class one day and I asked him what I should do to prepare to obtain a job with a big firm in Calgary. He looked at me and without any questions or discussions simply said, "Don't bother, you're not smart enough." Unfortunately, I believed him, or at least I accepted what he said, and I didn't even apply to Calgary firms. I ended up going back to Regina, where I was raised, and I practiced there for 6 great years. During those 6 years, I realized that I was reasonably smart, and I eventually developed the confidence to apply to firms in Calgary. I obtained a job, and I've had a rewarding career there ever since. I certainly don't regret my years in Regina. I was given great opportunities and learned a lot. I do regret, however, accepting a flippant remark from a professor who barely knew me. As I said before, you will encounter these sorts of discouraging experiences in life. When you do, please don't accept them at face value. You have the smarts and work ethic to succeed in law, or you wouldn't have been accepted here. Be confident. Don't be discouraged or afraid, and make this legal education you are embarking on all that you want it to be. My second piece of advice is not to accept things as they are. Question things. Think outside of the box. Perhaps the most important thing that you will learn at law school is that there are very few absolute truths. You will learn that there are different perspectives to every situation. So as you study law and practice law and live your life, think about what is best for you and for your generation. Law is full of important traditions, and I'm not saying that you should disregard them. What I am saying is that you should respect tradition, but think about how you can do things better. You can use your legal education to make your law school, our court systems, other legal processes, and the world generally work better. Your generation sees the world a bit differently than my generation does. Your generation thinks more about work-life balance and the impact of daily decisions on the bigger picture. Use your different perspectives to challenge the status quo and make society a better and more just place. So, to summarize my two pieces of advice, first, have confidence and persevere when you encounter discouragement. Really, just don't be afraid. And second, challenge the status quo and improve the way we do things in law and in society. In short, my advice may boil down to one simple thing. Don't be afraid to change the world. You can. Best wishes to each of you throughout your law school career and beyond.
Thank you, Grant. Next, I have a note here from the Honourable Robert Richards, Chief Justice of Saskatchewan. He was unable to be here today as he's currently attending Canadian Judicial Council meetings in Toronto, but he asked that I read a letter to you on his behalf. And it follows. On behalf of my colleagues on the Court of Appeal, I am delighted to be able to welcome you to the study of law at the University of Saskatchewan. Every day and in every corner of the world, lawyers are doing important work. They defend the innocent and safeguard their rights. They build and maintain the institutions and relationships on which economies are grounded. They help people to arrange their family and personal affairs. They vindicate constitutions. At every turn, lawyers are intimately involved in making communities work. In big ways and in small, they are on the front lines of the ongoing struggle to protect liberty, to ensure justice, and to promote social order and harmony. By deciding to enter law school, you have elected to become part of this amazing project. Over the next 3 years, you will learn a great deal. How is it that our society structures the relationships amongst its members and between its members and the state itself? How and why are people held to their agreements? What are the limits on what the state can do to fight crime, to fight terrorism? What principles govern the operations of executive government? And so on and so on. Lecture by lecture, course by course, and year by year, you will acquire an understanding of the rules and systems that make our world run. Your professors will give you an intellectual toolkit that will serve you for the rest of your professional lives, no matter what career paths you choose to take. Please accept my very best wishes for success and satisfaction in your studies. You will be tested in the days ahead, but I know that, just like those who have gone before, you'll be up to the challenge. These next 3 years will be memorable ones, and they will mark you for life. Enjoy them and take from them all that you can. I'd now like to welcome to the stage the Honourable Justice Richard Daniluk to bring greetings from the Court of Queen's Bench of Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Dean Phillipson. My friend Martin. But Dean Phillipson sounds pretty good to my ears. I have some bad news for you. When I received my instructions from the Dean's office on the length of this speech, I realized a little late that it said 4 to 5 minutes. I had read that as 45 minutes, and have therefore prepared a presentation of that length, including some videos, a puppet show, and perhaps, if you clap loudly enough, some interpretive dance. Students, you're betraying your inexperience. You don't know what you're asking for. It is my distinct pleasure to be here today on behalf of the Court of Queen's Bench to briefly speak with you. I started this law school a year after Grant Vogelai. I was also 19, which is staggering to me now. I don't really have many memories from when I was 19, which may be explained, I suppose, if I looked at it hard enough. But I just stood outside this building and watched you all coming in here today, all of you students, and was just marveling at how young you all look, realizing that probably most of you are older, in fact, than 19. But you look very young and enthusiastic and vital. Except for a few of you that look sort of old. I don't know what happened there. I don't remember a whole lot from that time, but I do recall very clearly that I was the first member of my family to attend any sort of post-secondary education institution, although some of my family attended other institutions on an involuntary basis, perhaps. Obtained some education there. But I recall with absolute clarity being so proud at starting at this college and recall being awed just by the building, by the library, the books, the overall ambience, and by the professors. I got over the awe of the professors relatively quickly, so the students, you should be into that by now. And strangely, they got over their awe of me even faster. When I was appointed to the court 5 years ago, a professor and someone who I regard as an old friend was chatting with me and was being very nice, but the best he could do was to refer to me as an indifferent student. I can tell you, though, that almost 40 years later, I remain in awe of being a part of this honored and honorable profession and to be a graduate of this honored and honorable college, and so should all of you. Now, just from those opening remarks, particularly to the students, I can tell that you're looking at me and already saying to yourselves, wow, he's really fat. And that's okay, because I am fat, and it's all right if you think that. I'm not going to be angry. But I can tell you, I used to be really fat, like really fat. I've lost a bunch of weight by doing a number of things, but mainly I walk. I get up early in the morning. I'm dressed sort of raggedly. True story, police have stopped me thinking I'm a vagrant. But I walk all over the place. I walk for kilometers and kilometers. And so when I was out walking and thinking about what I could possibly say to you today that might hold even the slightest bit of interest, much less inspiration, I thought about all the walking I'd done, and I thought about all the different paths I have trodden, both literally and figuratively, over the last number of years. Each of you is at a point where many paths are open to you. You've got numerous options. Some will lead to professional excellence, some will not. Some lead to money, or to being famous, perhaps being infamous, or to power. Some will lead you outside the entire profession of law, and others will bring you to be a central participant in our justice system. Unfortunately, some paths will lead you to ruination, and I sincerely hope none of you choose any of those paths. But no matter which options you choose, which personal and professional paths you decide to take, there is one path that you must walk down, one path from which you cannot stray, not once, not ever. And I speak of the path of integrity. In all of your personal and professional dealings, honesty and civility and integrity must be your hallmarks. Without them, you will have very, very little. And I know that my speech probably has echoes of Martin Phillipson's, but I can only attribute that to the fact that he's likely been studying my judgments for some time now. I know that over the next 3 years, you will be occupied with law school life. You will be occupied with reading cases and doing assignments and exams and your presentations and maybe a moot. And you'll fret about your marks. And you'll be thinking, Mother of God, just what do I have to write for Professor Flanagan to give me even a C? What do I do? I know all those things will preoccupy you, and that's fine. It's really inevitable. But allow me to invite you, perhaps even to challenge you, to pause during all the furor that is law school. Just pause from time to time and reflect upon the path that you are presently on. Think seriously in those times about the path of integrity and honesty and civility and fair dealing, because that is the path that our law school, our profession, and our entire society quite properly expects and demands from you. I can tell you, nothing less will do. That path in your entire personal and professional course of conduct has already started. It starts right now while you're in this college. I have to tell you, it does not wait for you to be done law school, or done articling, or done being a junior lawyer, or somehow there's some epiphany and a burning bush speaks to you and you know it all. It doesn't happen. It's a process, and you are in the process even as we speak. The creation and maintenance of your reputation is happening right now. It takes years to build your reputation, and it can be destroyed in an instant. Foster and guard your reputation for integrity jealously. Now, you may be sitting there wondering when he's going to be done and saying to yourself, okay, Chubby McChubbs, why does any of this matter to me? The path of integrity, in my view, is critical to you both personally and professionally. If you practice law anywhere in this country, you are in what I like to call the trust business. If you have any sort of personal relationships with other people, you're still in the trust business. If people do not trust you, personally or professionally, you will fail not only in the pursuit of law, but in your real life as well. I don't generally give out advice to young people, mostly because, as you have already figured out, I'm not all that smart, and I don't think my experience is anything particularly remarkable or special. But let me leave you with this thought, which does come from experience. I can assure each of you that at some points in your life, you will have what I like to call private moments of absolute clarity and truth. These may come at different times. They might come when you're about to marry your spouse, when you hold a new child for the first time, even when you are faced with some crisis in health and you're lying in a hospital bed alone at night. That's when you have those true moments of insight and clarity and truth. During those moments, I can assure you, you will reflect upon what you've done to date and what type of a man or woman you have been and you have become. If you have remained true to the path of integrity and everything entailed in treading along that path, you will not, in those moments of clarity, have any doubts or regrets about the course your life has taken. I look forward to meeting as many of you as I can today and afterward. I look forward to having you appear as advocates in our court. I was doing the math here, and Grant is in the same boat as me. I am still barely just young enough for it to be possible to look forward to welcoming some members of this class as colleagues on our court. So take a look around. Which of you is going to be a judge? I can tell you, in the class of '83, the person who would have been in the bottom 5 is speaking right now. Most of all, what I look forward to is watching you and seeing how you shape your profession and how you use your positions as lawyers and as legal scholars, and how you use the principles of integrity to engineer personal, legal, and societal change. I was chatting with my wife last night about this speech and said to her, you know, thinking back over 33 years since law school, I've had this amazingly satisfying career in the practice of law. I said, Janet, did you ever in your wildest dreams think that things would turn out this way? And being the person that she is, she looked at me tenderly and said, "Oh, Rick, you're not in my wildest dreams." So, my parting message to you, if there is one, stay humble, and as you can see, others will help you, but stay humble, stay true to your beliefs, stay true to the principles of integrity, and I believe you will find both personal and professional happiness throughout your lives. I sincerely wish each and every one of you the very best fortune during your law school career and beyond. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Justice Daniluk. Rick once attacked me with a carrot when we were giving a presentation at a conference together, and I'll have to tell some of you the story about that sometime, but it's a true story. So thanks for no props today. Appreciate that. Okay, I would like now to call upon the Honourable Chief Judge Plemel to bring greetings from the Saskatchewan Provincial Court.
Thank you, Dean Phillipson, and thank you for organizing this wonderful event, and to the other people who helped to sponsor this event. It is a very wonderful experience to be here today. Man, I didn't realize there were people sitting up there in the gallery. I am a little envious because Justice Daniluk, who just spoke, said that his invitation said he could speak for 4 to 5 minutes, and mine actually read that I'm only allowed to speak for 2 to 3 minutes. And I'm thinking maybe they've seen me talk before, and I always multiply by a few, so they shortened it this time to get it right. I'm bringing greetings from the judges and staff of the Provincial Court of Saskatchewan. We have a very cherished and favorable, I think, relationship with the College of Law. I personally get to the college several times a year, as do many of my colleagues. We have a mutually beneficial, I think, program called a Judge in Residence program, where one of our judges spends a week at the college. One of our judges is even a former dean of the College of Law. So we really enjoy this relationship. I came to this college as a first-year student in 1971, and I think quite a fine specimen I was. I had the big Fu Manchu mustache and, you know, the collar-length hair, and I drove up in my '58 Chevy. I ditched the Fu Manchu and the hair ditched me. But the thing that I really miss most is my '58 Chevy. I wish I could have that one back. The next 3 years at the College of Law were hard and serious, and just as importantly, it was also a time for making friends and new acquaintances, and many of those friendships continue to this day. I hope that you will take the time to balance your work and social life, be open-minded, and get to know classmates who might come from very different backgrounds than your own. I thought it was a very nice symbol today to see the string quartet and also to hear the drum. And I think as a symbol, it says that there is room for all of us here. And so as students at the College of Law, I say again, take the time to meet those people from other cultures. It will make you not only a better person, but a better lawyer, and overall it will strengthen our society. In the study of law, you're preparing yourself to contribute more fully to the rules which govern our society. These rules allow us to live in a relatively peaceful country, and it is a country which is the envy of many other countries and people of other countries in the world. You've heard some words of advice from Dean Phillipson, from Justice Daniluk, and others who have spoken before. And so I'm going to just give you one piece of advice, and it is to resist the urge to provide an instant opinion or tweet on anything that you read online. Take the necessary time to research and think about an issue before you give an opinion, and bounce those opinions off trusted students and professors before you jump on the flavor of the month bandwagon. Things you post impulsively, you might very well regret later on when you realize that your comment online was a foolish one. After over 40 years in the practice of law and being on the bench for some years, I can give a lot of advice, but that's the only one that I'm going to pass on today. So I just want to congratulate all of the first-year students. I want to congratulate the parents and the grandparents and the loved ones and the support groups who are here today. The first-year students did not get here on their own. They did it with the help and support of many other people who were in the room. Enjoy the day, enjoy the next 3 years, and I hope to see you often.
Thank you, Judge Plemmel. I would now like to welcome Mr. Perry Earhart, QC, to bring greetings on behalf of the Law Society of Saskatchewan.
Members of the judiciary, faculty members, law students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to bring greetings to you on behalf of the Law Society of Saskatchewan, including our benchers, one of whom among our number is now Dean Phillipson, as he alluded to in his remarks. And he was clearly paying attention at the meetings last week, so we'll give him an A grade for that. I congratulate each and every student on their admission to law school and hope that the first couple of weeks of classes have seen your interest piqued and new friendships developed. Thank you, Grant, and your law firm as well for the generous support of this event. It's always important to have sponsors for important events such as this. For those of you who don't know what the Law Society of Saskatchewan is or does, I'll just very quickly elaborate. We are the association that regulates the profession. So every lawyer must be a member of the Law Society and act in accordance with the Legal Professions Act, the rules that we establish, and the Code of Conduct approved by the Law Society. Our members elect benchers, which is an old or other term for directors that govern the society, and we govern, as others have mentioned, in the public interest. Not in lawyers' interests, but in the public interest. As others before me have spoken, trust and integrity in the profession is critical. Sometimes when members behave inappropriately, we must sanction them, but we strive to create an environment where the public has confidence in a trusted, competent legal profession and where the transgressions are very few. So you're embarking on a tremendous journey as law students, and now that you've achieved this milestone, you'll never be the same again, but in a very good way. You'll eventually be entrusted with responsibility that few others know. As lawyers, we're dedicated to serve the public interest and be diligent stewards of the rule of law. Hallmarks of our democracy are an independent judiciary and advocates in the law who protect and uphold the rights of a citizenry. This is a tremendous responsibility, and you are one step closer to playing a much larger part within our legal system. Beginning your legal studies marks a significant milestone for you personally, but also for the profession. You will begin to be consulted more often, analyze more critically, and advocate more strenuously. Maintain your humility and take those new responsibilities seriously. And while it's important to work hard over the next 3 years, it's also important to have a lot of fun along the way. So take part in those college activities, get to know each other really well, because you're making friends here that will be friends for life. And they'll be friends that have things in common with you that few others will be able to share. And attend as many guest lectures as you can, because you can never know too much. And I was thinking of that on the drive down here when I recalled that it was at Convocation Hall, and a few decades ago I attended a guest lecture by Prime Minister Trudeau, but it wasn't the one you know. And it was full, it was to the rafters, they were spilling out into the bowl. It was quite an event. He had very much the charisma that the current Prime Minister has. This event clearly is a happy occasion for our new students and their families. Much has been accomplished by you already, but so much more lies ahead. Again, on behalf of the Law Society of Saskatchewan, the benchers, and all of our members, we wish you the very best on beginning this next exciting chapter in your life's journey. Thank you very much.
As I mentioned earlier, we are a law school and we're part of a university, so I'm delighted to introduce my friend Paddy McDougall, Vice Provost of Teaching and Learning, to bring greetings on behalf of the University of Saskatchewan.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to Mr. Nitauhau for the teaching and the language and sharing of the song. Thank you so much, sir. When you bring that and offer that to the University of Saskatchewan, it helps us to live up to the aspirations we have about being a diverse and inclusive environment, welcoming to all, and so I thank you for that. It's a real privilege for me to be here on behalf of the University of Saskatchewan to greet you and to take part in the first-year welcoming ceremony. And I'm certainly pleased to take part in today's ceremony and to be able to hear our students, our first-year law students, expressing a commitment based on our Learning Charter. And you heard the Dean refer to the Learning Charter at the outset. I thought perhaps I would take the opportunity to give you some context about what this charter is, what is it all about, so that you might understand the significance of the commitment that you hear made today in Convocation Hall. A number of years ago, the university produced what we call a foundational document. This one was on teaching and learning. And this document set out our goals and our aspirations across a wide spectrum of teaching and learning activities. One of the recommendations was that the university create either a set of guiding principles or maybe a student bill of rights. And the faculty group who took on this task didn't like the idea of guiding principles. They thought that was just a little too generic. And they didn't really like the idea of a student bill of rights because they thought that that would make it overly one-sided. So early in their work, the group, led by a very dedicated colleague, Rick Long, who passed away last year, hit on the concept of a charter, and it took off from there. The idea was to create something that would reflect our underlying belief that learning works best when all partners are working together, where there is a common goal or set of goals. So our Learning Charter maps out graduate attributes. What is it that we expect from every graduate of the University of Saskatchewan? What do we need them to be capable of? And the Learning Charter maps out the commitments and responsibilities for students, instructors, and the institution as a whole. It turns out that no one else in Canada, no other university in Canada that we're aware of, has endeavored to create a Learning Charter. And you will know that we like that. We like to be the ones to set the trail in that regard. After widespread consultation, the Learning Charter that we have today was resoundingly approved by our academic governance body. And here at the University of Saskatchewan, you know, we have a lot of really smart people with a lot of amazing ideas, and we are the best at writing clever documents like the Learning Charter. So even though we all agreed that having a Learning Charter was a good idea, I know that people still wondered quietly whether it would ever really matter, whether it would change anything about the way we do business. I think our Learning Charter continues to matter, and I think it will change how we work together, because we treat it like a living, breathing document and we let it inspire our activities. Indeed, this year, we have reopened our Learning Charter to give consideration to how we might capture the goal the university has when it comes to ensuring that we have learning outcomes that are tied to Indigenous content and experiences grounded in Indigenous worldviews. It is a chance to come together as an institution and to continue to work on that. In many of our colleges, the impact of the Learning Charter has meant that faculty members tie course and program learning outcomes directly to goals that are listed in that charter, just as the College of Law has done. And standing here today as part of this ceremony, wherein our first-year law students will vocalize their commitment to their learning experiences, for me, that's a sign that the Charter makes a difference and is alive and well. So I offer my thanks today to colleagues in the College of Law, particularly Professor Heather Haven, who I know is responsible for crafting the pledge that students make today. I'm grateful for this meaningful shout out to the Learning Charter. I also wanted to take a moment to celebrate and give thanks to our newly minted Dean, Martin Phillipson. I admire him greatly. He inspires great confidence in me and many others at the university, and I look forward to working with him as the college moves forward on many fronts. And finally, on behalf of the University of Saskatchewan and alongside the College of Law, I offer a commitment to you from an institutional perspective within that Learning Charter. I commit the university to providing opportunities to the first-year class, to ensuring quality in what we have to offer, to continuing to build the appropriate environment, and to support your learning. I suspect that some of those commitments would form the basis of a verbal contract, and I trust that when you have mastered the content of contracts, that you will come back to me and hold me accountable for those things. My best wishes for an extraordinary first year. My thanks to everyone who is here, family, our honored guests, for taking part in this wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. I'd now like to introduce our keynote speaker this afternoon is Mr. Scott Banda. Scott received both his BA degree in Honours in History in 1986 and his Bachelor of Laws in 1990 from the University of Saskatchewan. Since 2010, he's been the Chief Executive Officer of Federated Cooperatives Limited. He's also served FCL as Vice President, Corporate and Legal Affairs and Legal Affairs Manager starting in 2002. Prior to FCL, he was the Manager of Legal Affairs for Arriva Resources and General Counsel and Corporate Secretary for the Crown Investments Corporation of Saskatchewan. Scott has been recognized by Saskatchewan Business Magazine for his influence on business and by the College of Arts and Sciences as a most distinguished alumni. Scott.
Well, thanks, Dean Phillipson. I never thought I'd say that. We were in law school at exactly the same time, so times have changed. And it is my pleasure to be with you all this afternoon and to share a few thoughts. And after listening to the distinguished guests share their advice to you, I guess my advice is listen to them. What else is there to say? But as that wisdom was pouring out of all these people, I started to feel young again. And remembering when I was in your shoes and being an early days of law school, and I was just getting pretty excited about all that. And then I looked up in the gallery and realized that the people I went to law school are your parents, Stephanie, Terry, Scott, Perry. So I guess time has passed, and we are here today. So once again, it is my pleasure, and I want to share a few maybe observations or thoughts that I have based upon my career and my time at law school. I often say, unlike most lawyers, I don't give advice. I do have some opinions, and I share them freely. Today, I want to share with you, as I said, a few observations, and they're centered really simply around foundations, creativity, and relationships. First, foundations. What do I mean by that? As an individual, or as a company, or as a law firm, who are you? What are you about? What is your purpose? Those are questions you have to ask. What are your values? You've heard a lot of discussion about values today. Those things really matter. Whether you're an individual or whether you're in an organization, you will face challenges. There will be decisions that have to be made. And I can tell you that when you have to make those decisions, having some foundation to look back on, to find out who you are, will guide you. Be authentic, be real, be whoever you are. My experience in commercial settings has been in the government sector, it's been in the private sector, it's been in the cooperative. And in all those cases, having very clear values will help you steer through your challenges and set you straight when you get rocked. and you will get rocked. Whether it's a personal crisis, whether it's a professional crisis, or a company crisis, and you need to find your way forward. Have a solid foundation, have your feet firmly planted on the ground. Second is creativity. I often say to our organization and to others, there's only one challenge for every organization, and that's the challenge of relevance. You need to be relevant. The way you maintain your relevance is by evolving, by growing, by adapting, and by changing. And with change comes opportunity. Be creative. Keep your eyes open for those alternatives, for those opportunities. Be creative in your solutions. Think about different things. Look for experiences. Learn from those experiences. Take the time while you are in law school or in your career to find new ways, to look to be different, to think different, and to make a difference. For someone that I spend my time now in the co-op sector, which is often seen as a different, maybe quieter side of a business model, look for different solutions. There are alternatives no matter what it is, whether it's a business framework or whether it's a personal challenge. My point is simply this: there are always other ways to do things. Keep your minds open, unleash your potential, and look for those creative ways to solve your problems. Third would be relationships. Every organization I know of is made up of people. It's great to have strategies, it's great to have ideas, but none of those get executed without people. So starting right here, today, I want to remind you that relationships matter. To put it in a negative way, that old saying of remember who you step on the way up, because you're going to meet them on the way down. But more positively, the way I like to think about it, is here's your opportunity to build powerful relationships in law school amongst all your colleagues. What a potential investment in your future. And it wasn't that long ago when here in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, we hosted the first in Canada World Indigenous Business Forum just about a month ago. And I looked at the preliminary agenda for that conference being held here, and there were 4 keynote speakers on the list. Leanne Bellegarde, the Director of Diversity Inclusion at Potash Corp. Tim Gitzel, the CEO and President of Cameco Corporation, and myself. The 3 of us, along with Mr. Kempinski up there, 29 short years ago, all started law school on the same day. And I went, wow. My message to you is we can do anything. You can be anywhere. And we have great representation from the legal profession proper here today, but all 3 of us, whether it be Leanne, Tim, or I, have chosen different paths, and those paths are all open up to you. Who knew? Classmates that I had in my class at the time now work in our organization in different roles. The short message I have to you is build those strong relationships. Spend time with your colleagues. Get to know them. That network will serve you for the rest of your life. You have today in front of you an incredible opportunity to be at the University of Saskatchewan at this point in history, at this point in your life. That to me brings hope, optimism, and possibility for each one of you. Just remember, know who you are and what you are about. Look for new ways and new ideas. Learn from and enjoy all of the people around you. I ask that each one of you make the most of this wonderful opportunity that you all work so hard to be here today. Thank you and best of luck in your school and in your careers.
Thank you, Scott. I would like to say that I came here as a graduate student at the age of 21 from England. I arrived in 1989, and I was adopted, for want of a better phrase, by the classes of 89, 90, and 91, who looked after me, treated me like one of their own. It's a privilege to see some of them in the room this afternoon and to be able to serve the college that treated me so well. You are very fortunate to be at such a wonderful institution that takes care of its own, and it's a privilege to be here. So it's nice to see you all again, and it's a wonderful privilege to be here. So let's celebrate. I would like now to welcome our cloakers to the stage. We're lucky to have a number of College of Law alumni, staff, and students, as well as representatives from the legal community, to present our first year students with their gowns. Can all of the cloakers please come to the stage? I'll ask each one to step forward as they're being introduced. Leanne Bellegarde, College of Law alumni and Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Potash Corporation. Jeff Deagle, College of Law alumnus and current President of the Saskatchewan Trial Lawyers Association. Chris Harris, Faculty Support at the College of Law. Holly Ann Knott, College of Law alumna and lawyer at Knott Den Hollander Law Firm. Doug Moen, QC, College of Law alumnus. Tom Richards, President of the Law Students Association. Neil Robertson, QC, current President of the Canadian Bar Association, Saskatchewan. Leon Thompson, President of the Indigenous Law Students Association. And Colleen Wilson, College of Law alumna and co-owner of Midwest Group and Meridian Development. Please welcome our cloakers. So the students are going to come up in about 14 different groups. I would ask you to applaud at the end of each group rather than after every student. We could be here for a long time if that's the case. I will now call upon the students to introduce themselves and receive their gowns.
Nathan Adolph, Calgary, Alberta.
Mike Albert, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Candace Almighty Voice, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Hasith Andrew Hennedy, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Connor Anier, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jared Allmiller, Hannah, Alberta.
Just Kieran Badra, Edmonton, Alberta.
Alexander Barlis, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Mitchell Berry, Drumheller, Alberta.
Natanya Bartlett, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Brianne Becky, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jose Berthelot, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Peter Boyd, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Landon Biker, Star City, Saskatchewan.
Monique Buse, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Sylvia Borowska, Vancouver, BC.
Morgan Boutin, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Luke Brisebois, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jillian Broadbent, Calgary, Alberta.
Tava Burton, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Tina Kai, Calgary, Alberta.
Brandon Kane, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jeremiah Chow, Vancouver, BC.
Antonella Tsitsko, Toronto, Ontario.
Hello, everybody. My name is John Cullen. I'm from Kingston, Ontario.
Haredeep Dhaliwal, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Marie Dickney, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Carly Dobbs, Cranbrook, BC.
Siobhan Eberly, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Dean Ermintrout, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Cale Ellis Toddington, Calgary, Alberta.
Robert Evans, Calgary, Alberta.
Emily Earhart, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Brady Fetch, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Brooklyn Fiesel, Melville, Saskatchewan.
Kirsten Fontaine, Edmonton, Alberta.
Cody Francon, Lloydminster, Saskatchewan.
Jessica Prose, Calgary, Alberta.
Nate Garkey, Spruce Grove, Alberta.
Jelena Germain, Vancouver, BC.
Tom Gagg, Surrey, BC.
Jordan Gagg, Surrey, BC.
Cheryl Giesbrecht, Vancouver, BC.
Gurpreet Gill, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jordan Graham, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Joseph Hahn, Edmonton, Alberta.
Megan Harris, Edmonton, Alberta.
Jesse Hayward, Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Sunam Jasser, Edmonton, Alberta.
Zoe Johansson Hill, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Corey Capeller, Calgary, Alberta.
Amanda Kempinski, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Catherine Kirkpatrick, Vancouver, British Columbia.
Erica Clausen, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Madison Kowalchuk, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Nicole Krupski, Lemberg, Saskatchewan.
Mervyn Kwok, Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Alex Laird, Swift Current, Saskatchewan.
James Langan, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Zach Lazarevic, Toronto, Ontario.
Nathan Leitner, Regina, Saskatchewan.
William Lewison, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Alexa Lowe, Vancouver, BC.
Anne-Marie Lowther, Edmonton, Alberta.
Cassandra Lazinski, Fort McMurray, Alberta.
Changchun Ma, China.
Adam McNeil, The Regina, Saskatchewan.
Brett Martz, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Aaron Martz, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Patrick Malone, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Norman, Surrey, British Columbia.
Michael Marshall, Regina, Saskatchewan.
John McCammon, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Patricia Magali, Wilcox, Saskatchewan.
Ian McRobbie, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Sean Mahalshin, Calgary, Alberta.
Christine Miller, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Jana Mitchell, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Stephanie Mowat, Calgary, Alberta.
Ryan Monio, Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Thomas Mueller, Chilliwack, BC.
Benita Moon-Vanessa, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jory Nelson, Hodgeville, Saskatchewan.
Stephanie Nemeth, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jordan Nixdorf, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Kaylan Oram, Central Butte, Saskatchewan.
Coleman Owen, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Catherine Panton, Chilliwack, British Columbia.
Alyssa Fenn, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Brandon Prokopchuk, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Sam Resnick, Toronto, Ontario.
Gianna Reeder, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Courtney Revere, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Kayla Romano, Assiniboia, Saskatchewan.
Colin Sagansky, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Harmeet Sarai, Surrey, British Columbia.
Laura Shawn, Regina, Saskatchewan. Carly Sigdaholyoke, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Luke Smigelski, Edmonton, Alberta.
Shauna Sparrow, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Ward Spencer, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Landon Squires, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Costa Stamatinos, Yorkton, Saskatchewan.
Catherine Starks, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Scott Sterrick, Langley, BC.
Owen Stewart, Burnaby, BC.
Mason Stott, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Emily Sutherland, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Allison Toms, Bruno, Saskatchewan.
Jacob Tolton, Ottawa, Ontario.
Brian Twin, Nanaimo, BC.
Aaron Vogel, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Kirsty Vogelsang, Edmonton, Alberta. Julie Ward, Okotoks, Alberta. Caitlin Ward, High River, Alberta. Janelle White, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Taylor Wilcox, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Sarah Wingerick, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Vaughn Woodbury, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Bryden Woodrick, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Daniel Zelich, Calgary, Alberta.
James Zick, Regina, Saskatchewan.
I would also like to recognize first-year students Drea Naziga and Isabel LaRoque, who, due to family and other commitments, were unable to make it today. Thank you. Cloakers, you may return to your seats. Thank you. I will now ask our students to rise and repeat after me as we recite the student commitment. So we'll do this one line at a time and see if I get it right. Okay. So, as a law student of the University of Saskatchewan College of Law, I will, to the best of my ability, conduct myself with integrity and demonstrate ethical behavior in my dealings with other students, faculty, and staff. Actively engage in the learning process. Thoughtfully consider, on the basis of evidence, a diversity of theories, ideas, beliefs, and approaches to problems and solutions. Undertake my university work in accordance with principles of academic integrity. Engage in a respectful way with members of the university community, including other students, staff, faculty, representatives of the institution, and its partners. Value diversity and the positive contributions it brings to the University of Saskatchewan, the College of Law, and society as a whole. And commit to sharing the knowledge and skills I will acquire through the study of law by positively contributing to society, locally, nationally, or globally. They can read. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm round of applause as I present to you the College of Law class of 2019. Students, you can sit down now. And now we come to the fun bit with the awards portion where I get to give away money. In my last position on campus, I was telling people they couldn't have money. I had too much of it, so it's quite a nice treat to be able to give away money. I want to begin by saying that the College of Law is grateful to all of our donors and for the gifts of all sizes that they give to us. The college relies on the financial support of alumni and friends to assist us in funding bursaries, scholarships, and many other important student initiatives. For some students, without the financial support that they receive, law school would not be an option. I'll again tell you about a young English guy who came here in 1989 whose parents couldn't have afforded to send him to graduate school, never mind send him to graduate school on another continent, and the College of Law and the College of Graduate Studies funded my studies, and the poor devils, here I am now in charge of the place. Anyway, with that, I begin the presentation of our entrance awards. The Gary and Tammy Bugeaud Centennial Entrance Award goes to Madison Kowalchuk. The College of Law Academic Excellence Entrance Scholarship goes to Catherine Starks. College of Law Academic Excellence Scholarship goes to Nathaniel Gartka. College of Law Academic Excellence Entrance Scholarship goes to Patrick Malone. College of Law Academic Excellence Entrance Scholarship goes to Connor Anea. And the final College of Law Academic Excellence Entrance Scholarship goes to, oh no, sorry, two more. Just testing. Gianna Reeder. And the final College of Law Academic Excellence Entrance Scholarship goes to Erica Claassen. As I've said, we're delighted to welcome some of our donors to the stage. Please welcome John Adjuridis of McPherson, Leslie and Timon, who present both the William Elliott Scholarship and the McPherson, Leslie and Timon Scholarship in Law. John.
Good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations to the first-year class. It is my pleasure to present the William Elliott Scholarship to John Cullen. Our next scholarship is the McPherson, Leslie and Timon Scholarship in Law, and I'm pleased to present that to Tom Gagg. Thank you.
Thanks very much, John. Thank you. I'd now like to welcome Perry Earhart, QC, President of the Law Society of Saskatchewan, back to the stage to present the Law Society of Saskatchewan Scholarship. And this year's winner is Zoe Johansson Hill. The Harris and Loretta and Raymond Earl Parr Memorial Scholarship goes to Shauna Sparrow. And the Harris and Loretta and Raymond Earl Parr Memorial Scholarship goes to Nathan Adolph. The J. Barry Thompson Scholarship goes to Kaylin Oram. I'd now like to welcome Troy Barrell of Miller Thompson to present the Miller Thompson National Entrance Scholarship. And the winner is Morgan Boutin. Thanks, Troy. Both Troy and Joan were former students of mine, so I'm showing my age again. I'd now like to welcome the Law Foundation of Saskatchewan Chair Robert Gibbings to the stage to present the Law Foundation of Saskatchewan 25th Anniversary Scholarship.
It's not a requirement that I indicate the year in which I entered the Institute. Okay. Let me just take 2 minutes to tell you a little bit about the Law Foundation. Don't want to unduly interrupt this, but the Law Foundation for 40 years has had a very close relationship with the College of Law. One of the Foundation's mandates is legal education. That support has taken many forms over the course of years. One of them, you've probably already noticed, is the Law Foundation of Saskatchewan wing at the college. On a recent visit this past weekend, I was delighted to see that it's being employed to its highest and best use by housing the foosball tables. More seriously, it houses the Native Law Centre, one of the most impactful organizations. The Native Law Centre, there isn't an Aboriginal lawyer in Canada, likely, that has not entered the profession except through the doors of the Native Law Centre. We had a very positive visit. All of the Canadian Law Foundations were present on the weekend. We had a great presentation from Chris Lafleur, who is up there, and from Dean Phillipson, and a very touching and moving ceremony conducted by Maria Campbell. There were many from across the country who had not participated before in such a spiritual welcome, and that was very gratifying. One of the other ways in which the Foundation supports the college is through an anniversary scholarship. I'm pleased to present that this year to Thomas Muller.
The Canuka Thuringer LLP Entrance Scholarship goes to Siobhan Eberly. I'd now like to welcome Mrs. Jackie Shumiacha to present the Morris and Jackie Shumiacha Scholarship in Law. And this year's winner is Jacob Tolton Morley. I'd now like to welcome Connie Larson of Scotiabank to present the Scotiabank Scholarship in Law. And this year's winner is Janelle White. The Justice John H. Marr Memorial Scholarship goes to Laura Shan. The Thomas P. and Peter S. Dace WWH Memorial Scholarship goes to Adam McNeil. The P.E. Mackenzie Entrance Scholarship goes to Bryden Woodrich. The James N. Stevenson Entrance Scholarship goes to Alexander Laird. The James and Stephen Entrance Scholarship goes to Caitlin Ward. The Eldon Williams Scholarship goes to Monique Buse. The Eldon Williams Scholarship goes to Brett Mayers. And last but not least, the Eldon Williams Scholarship goes to Courtney Riviere. Again, thank you to all our donors for the gifts that help enrich a student experience and helps many of us come to law school. That concludes our ceremony and awards presentation. Before I forget, I would like to thank my staff, Katie, Sarah, Chris, and others for helping to organize this wonderful event. I'd like to thank again the Amati Quartet. I'd like to thank our distinguished guests for their fine words and speeches and not telling stories about me in law school. And that concludes our presentation. Before we move over to the University Club for the reception, by the way, you're all welcome to come across to the University Club for reception and some fellowship and to meet some of you. I would like to ask all the first years to make your way outside through those doors where our photographer will take a picture of the whole group. And I want to see Court of Appeal judges, prime ministers, CEOs, etc. in that group in 20, 30, 40 years' time. And after the photos are complete, please return to the green room and drop off your gowns. But for now, thank you to all of you for attending. Welcome again to the class of 2019. And please join us at the University Club for the reception. Thank you very much.